I'm going to walk you through the steps on how to create your site plan for your residential house design. So the first thing you're going to want to do is download the Revit file for the site plan. The file's made for you, so you're going to want to download that and go ahead and open it. Once you have the site plan open, the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you save it back into your own folder. So we'll save this one as a project, and you can name it RD for residential design, site plan, and then your initials, and make sure you save it in the folder that has your residential design house in it. Let's go ahead and look at kind of what we have here. And so this is a site for the house. We have a lot right here. This is the lot we're going to put the house on. We have 10th Street that runs, it's a main street that runs along this side of the property. We also have Maple Street. And you can see back here we have an alleyway in the back part of the property. So if we look at some of these lines on here, we can kind of see what we're dealing with. If we come over here to the street, we can see that this red line, OE, stands for overhead electrical line. So if I click on that line, you can see the line style pops up and it tells you what it is. Right here we have a telephone pole, a utility pole, and so that's what those lines hook to. Here, this orange line is a gas line, and so that would be under the ground. Here we have our underground. This is a fiber optic cable. Over here we have our storm sewer, which the storm sewer, if I come in here and zoom in a little bit more, you can see this grate. The storm sewer is where water goes when it rains. It goes down in the gutter. All right, and so that's kind of what we're looking at for our property here. The first thing that we are going to want to do is go ahead and add a north arrow to our property. And so how you do that is by clicking on symbol over here, and then I will go ahead and click on load family. And if I click on the annotations folder, I can see all of these annotations, a couple options for north arrow. I'm just going to select north arrow 2 and click open. And I'm going to find a spot on my plan, and I'm going to place that north arrow in, and that would represent north, and so north would be in this direction. The next thing that we're going to do is actually show you how to link your house file to the site plan. So I'm going to come up over here to the tabs, and I'm going to click insert, and I'm going to say link Revit. When I do that, I'm going to go out and I'm going to find where I have my home plan saved. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and I'm going to click open. And what it's going to do is it's going to link that Revit file to this Revit file. Might take a little bit to upgrade it if it needs to be upgraded, and process that file depending on how big it is. Alright, so now I have my house plan linked to the file, and so I can do several things here. I can figure out the orientation of the house, which way I want it to face. And so if I just click on the house, I can then rotate it any way that I want or would want it to be. So you can figure out how you want to do that and where exactly you want the house to be on the plan. The next thing that we're going to want to do is add our water lines and sanitary sewer lines over here to the plan. And so if we look over here, we have a W. That stands for water line, but the line is not in. And so if I go ahead and click on one of the lines, I can bring up the line styles. Actually, if I just come into Architecture tab and I click Model Line, I can then select that I want a water line. And I can make sure I have the line tool selected, and I can come in here somewhere in here and I can show that we have a water line running down the alleyway on the back side of the house here. So there's the water line put in. The other line we can put in is the sewer line. So if we look over here, we can see that we have some manholes. So this is a manhole. That's where our sewer should be. And so again, I'll click Architecture, Model Line, and then I will select Sanitary Sewer. That's the sewer line where anything that goes down the drain at your house ends up going out of your house and into the sanitary sewer line. And so we'll try to make that line up with those manholes. And so really the line should be centered on those manholes. So you can try to do your best to get that centered. The next thing I'll show you how to do is how to add driveways or concrete walks. If we click on Massing and Site, to add those like sidewalks and site components, one way you can do that is just with Building Pad. You can use the rectangle tool. Let's say we want a driveway, figure out how wide you need your driveway to be, make it the right size, and you can click to place those different patios, driveways, any sidewalk kind of things that you want, and you can use that sketch tool to do that. The other thing that we're going to want to do is add a water service line to the house. And so if I go back to the Architecture tab, click on Model Lines, I click on a water line where you're going to want to figure out where you want the water coming into your house. And so then I would take it from the utility on the street and I would draw that water line back to my house. I would do the same thing for the sanitary sewer line, and so I would come over here and I would select the sanitary sewer. The sewer, maybe it goes out like wherever you have maybe a bathroom or something. Everything's going to collect there and then go out. To your sanitary sewer. The last thing you can do is figure out where you want to collect your overhead electrical, and so then we're going to put an overhead electrical line from the street, from one of the poles back to your house as well. Alright, the last thing that you can do is we can go in here and we can add any landscaping that you want. So under Massing and Site, I can click on Site Component and I can go in, I can load things. There's all kinds of trees and landscaping. I can select on what I want, place some of those things into the site plan. One thing that we'll look at is really quickly, if we look at 3D view, you guys will see that your house and some of the things we've drawn are way down here. They're on a different elevation than your site plan. You can raise it up if you want and kind of try to eyeball it, but we're not going to worry or concern ourselves too much with making that 3D view look exactly right for this. It's all about how the site plan was drawn and what elevation it was drawn at and what elevation our house was drawn at. And so our house was drawn at an elevation of 0, which would be sea level. And so if you can mess with it if you want to and try to figure out how to get it moved up, but it's really not that big a deal for our site plan. Really, we don't need a 3-dimensional view for that. And so that's how you'll create your site plan. If you come down here to the sheet, it's already set up for you, and you kind of have a legend that shows all the different things and everything that you'll need for your site plan.